It's a sunny Saturday afternoon on June 10th, 2023, at the Westlake Center Mall in downtown Seattle, and Daniel Harper is holding his daughter Emily's hand as they weave through the bustling crowd. Emily, an 8-year-old with bright red pigtails and a gap-toothed grin, is practically bouncing with excitement, her blue eyes sparkling as she points at a toy store display. "Daddy, look at the unicorns!" she squeals, tugging him toward a stuffed animal with a glittery horn. Daniel, a 35-year-old single dad with tired blue eyes and a quiet smile, can't resist her enthusiasm. He's been Emily's everything since her mom, Sarah, passed away from cancer 3 years ago, leaving them to navigate life as a team of two. They'd spent the morning at home, Emily giggling as Daniel tried to braid her hair, ending up with a lopsided mess that made them both laugh until their sides hurt. Now they're at the mall to grab new sneakers for her summer camp, a simple errand on a perfect day. But in a split second, everything changes. Daniel lets go of her hand to pay at the counter, glancing over to see Emily still at the display. He turns back for just 30 seconds to sign the receipt, but when he looks again, she's gone. "Emily?" he calls, his voice swallowed by the mall's noise, his heart pounding as he searches frantically. Security footage later shows her walking toward the exit with a shadowy figure, but the trail vanishes. For 2 years, Daniel clings to hope, until one rainy morning in May 2025, he's walking past a telephone pole in his neighborhood. A faded Circus poster catches his eye, a smiling girl in a sparkly costume, juggling under a big top. His blood runs cold. That girl, she looks exactly like Emily. How could this be? What's up, story lovers? Welcome to Storyroom by Rico, where we bring you gripping tales that'll keep you hooked. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a story. Also, let us know in the comments section where you are watching from. Buckle up, because we're diving into a mystery that will leave you questioning everything. Let's go back to that day in June 2023, when Emily Harper vanished from the Westlake Center Mall, and see how a perfect afternoon turned into a nightmare. Westlake Center was a sprawling 3-story mall in the heart of Seattle, the kind of place where families flocked on weekends for shopping, food court treats, and the occasional street performer outside. That Saturday, the mall was packed. Kids darted between stores, parents juggled shopping bags, and the air smelled of pretzels and perfume. Emily, with her red pigtails tied with unicorn scrunchies, was wearing her favorite outfit, a purple t-shirt with a glittery unicorn, denim shorts, and white sneakers with rainbow laces. She'd been begging for new camp shoes, and Daniel, a software engineer who worked long hours, wanted to make the day special. They'd stopped at the food court first, sharing a giant soft pretzel while Emily chatted about her best friend, Sophie, who'd be at camp with her. Daniel was at the counter in a shoe store on the 2nd floor, a small boutique called Sneaker Haven, when Emily spotted the toy display across the hall. "Daddy, can I look at the unicorns over there?" she asked, her voice bright with excitement. Daniel nodded, keeping her in sight as he handed over his card. He'd always been cautious, the kind of dad who double-checked playgrounds for strangers, but the mall felt safe. Bright, crowded, with security guards patrolling. 30 seconds later, she was gone. "Emily!" Daniel shouted, shoving past a couple to reach the display, his shopping bag forgotten. The unicorn was still there, but Emily wasn't. He spun around, calling her name, his voice cracking as panic set in. A mall security guard, a burly man named Tony with a graying beard, rushed over after hearing Daniel's shouts. "She was right here," Daniel stammered, pointing at the display. Tony radioed for backup, and soon the mall was on lockdown. Shoppers whispered as Seattle PD arrived, led by Detective Alvarez, a no-nonsense cop with 15 years on the force and a reputation for solving tough cases. They pulled security footage, At 2:17 p.m., Emily is seen holding the stuffed unicorn, her red pigtails bouncing as she walks toward the north exit with a figure in a dark hoodie. The camera cuts off before they reach the door. No clear shot of the figure's face. A teenage shopper, 16-year-old Mia, told police she saw a girl matching Emily's description near the exit, looking scared, but the figure pulled her along too fast to intervene. Outside, a silver sedan was spotted speeding away from the parking lot, its plates unreadable on grainy footage. Police set up roadblocks, brought in canine units, and plastered Emily's photo on local news. A tip came in about a stolen van in Tacoma, but it led nowhere. Just a joyrider, not a kidnapper. Daniel stood in the parking lot, rain starting to fall, his hands trembling as he realized his little girl was gone. How could someone take her in broad daylight? To answer that, we need to look at what happened next, and the toll it took on. Daniel, this is where things get explosive. For 2 years, Daniel Harper's life became a relentless search for Emily, a journey that pushed him to the brink. The first few weeks were chaos. Daniel barely slept, his blue eyes bloodshot as he handed out flyers at Westlake Center, his voice hoarse from calling Emily's name. He set up a website, Find Emily Harper, where tips flooded in, each one a flicker of hope that quickly burned out. A truck driver in Portland swore he saw a girl with red pigtails at a gas station, but it was a different child. A woman in California claimed Emily was in a foster home, but the lead fizzled when DNA didn't match. Daniel's health crumbled. He dropped 30 pounds, his dark hair graying at the temples, his once-fit frame gaunt from stress. His parents moved into his small Seattle apartment to help, but the strain fractured his family. His sister Clara, a 32-year-old nurse with a fiery temper, blamed him for Emily's disappearance. "You should have held her hand," she screamed during a tear-filled fight at Thanksgiving 2023, her brown eyes flashing with anger. Daniel couldn't argue. He blamed himself every second. Clara stopped speaking to him, leaving their parents to mediate a broken family. Daniel quit his job, living off savings, and poured everything into the search. He organized community search parties, working with a local group called Hope for the Missing, a non-profit that supported families of vanished kids. At one vigil in 2024, Emily's best friend, Sophie, a 9-year-old with curly blonde hair and a quiet voice, helped Daniel light candles at Westlake Center. "I miss her unicorn hugs," Sophie whispered, clutching a stuffed animal Emily had given her. Daniel's heart broke all over again. He'd sit in Emily's room at night, surrounded by her unicorn drawings and the faint scent of her strawberry shampoo, replaying that day at the mall. Detective Alvarez kept the case open, but leads were scarce. She told Daniel that malls were danger zones, crowded, chaotic, with blind spots everywhere. Web searches pull up cases like Drew Sjöden, a North Dakota student taken from a mall. In 2003, her father Alan, holding vigils by her car for years. Daniel held his own vigils, standing in the same spot where Emily vanished, hoping someone would remember something. He worked with a local journalist, Mia Torres, a 29-year-old reporter with a knack for digging up cold cases, who wrote a series on Emily for the Seattle Times. Mia's articles brought in new tips, but none panned out. By 2025, Daniel was a shell of himself, his hope fading, until a single moment turned everything upside down. What did he find that rainy morning that made his heart stop? If you're still watching, you need to subscribe. May 13th, 2025 was a gray, drizzly day in Seattle. The kind where the rain seems to seep into your bones. Daniel Harper was walking to the corner store for coffee, his hood up against the wet, his mind numb from 2 years of grief. He passed a telephone pole on his street, one he'd walked by 100 times, now plastered with faded flyers, lost. Dogs, garage sales, a missing cat. But one poster stood out, a colorful circus advertisement for the Midnight Carnival, a traveling show set to perform at the Seattle Center that weekend. The poster was weathered, its edges curling, but the image was vivid. A young girl in a sparkly blue leotard, juggling 3 red balls under a big top, her face lit up with a wide grin. Daniel stopped dead, his coffee cup slipping from his hand and splashing on the sidewalk. That grin, that gap between her front teeth. It was Emily. She'd be 10 now, but the resemblance was uncanny. The girl's hair was dyed blonde, not Emily's fiery red, but those blue eyes, that smile, they were hers. The poster listed the carnival's recent stops: Portland, Boise, now Seattle. Daniel's hands shook as he tore it down, staring at the fine print. Featuring Ella the Magnificent, it read. Ella. Could that be Emily, renamed? He ran home, poster clutched to his chest, and called Detective Alvarez. "Maria, you need to see this," he said, his voice trembling. Alvarez, a seasoned cop, with a sharp mind and a skeptical streak, agreed to meet, though she warned Daniel about false hope. "I've seen parents chase ghosts," she said. But something in Daniel's voice made her pause. They met at a coffee shop near the precinct, where Daniel spread the poster on the table. A barista, a 20-year-old named Lily with pink hair, overheard and chimed in. "I saw a guy putting those up last week," she said. "Looked shady, kept looking over his shoulder." Daniel and Alvarez tracked down a graphic designer, Ethan Brooks, who analyzed the poster. "It's printed cheap, likely in Boise," Ethan said, pointing to a watermark. "The photo's recent, maybe 6 months old." Alvarez pulled the carnival's records, registered to Victor Kane, a 50-year-old ringmaster with a murky past. The Midnight Carnival had been in Portland in June 2023, the same month Emily vanished, just a 3-hour drive from Seattle. Daniel's mind raced. Was this a coincidence, or had Emily been with the carnival all along? To find out, they needed to dig into the carnival's history, and what they found was darker than they ever imagined. The Midnight Carnival wasn't the kind of circus you'd take your kids to for a fun night out. It had a reputation that sent chills down your spine. Victor Kane, the ringmaster, was a hulking man with a gravelly voice and a rap sheet that stretched back decades. Petty theft in the 90s, fraud in 2005, and a 2010 arrest for child endangerment that was dropped on a technicality. The carnival itself was a ragtag operation. 30 performers and roustabouts, traveling in beat-up trailers, setting up in empty lots or fairgrounds across the West Coast. They'd roll into a town, put on a week of shows with clowns, acrobats, and jugglers, then pack up and leave, often under the cover of night. Daniel and Alvarez dug into online forums, finding posts from former workers that painted a grim picture. A user named Lost in the Big Top wrote, "Kids would show up out of nowhere. No parents, no papers. Victor would give them new names, dye their hair, make them perform." Another post mentioned a boy named Tommy, who joined in 1985 and vanished after a show in Spokane. A cold case file from the Spokane PD confirmed it. Tommy Carter, a 12-year-old who disappeared from a park, was last seen near the Midnight Carnival's lot, a smiley face sticker found in his backpack. The carnival had a pattern. They'd hit towns with big crowds, malls, festivals, fairs, places where kids could slip away unnoticed. In 2021, a girl named Lila joined the carnival in Boise, renamed Lila the Star. She performed for 6 months before disappearing again, her whereabouts still unknown. Survivor testimonies on a true crime subreddit told of harsh conditions, kids forced to train for hours, fed scraps, and locked in trailers at night. One survivor, a woman named Grace who escaped in 2016, described Victor as ruthless. He'd buy kids from shady guys, then sell them off when they got too old, she wrote. Daniel found a grainy photo of Ella the Magnificent from a Boise show in 2024, posted on a carnival fan page. The blonde hair threw him off, but those blue eyes, that gap-toothed smile, it had to be Emily. Alvarez called in the FBI, who'd been tracking traveling shows for years. Web searches revealed the 1971 case of Mia, an aerialist with the Jones Brothers Circus, whose death exposed a trafficking ring. The Midnight Carnival was looking more like a front for something sinister, but how deep did it go? To find out, they needed someone who'd been inside. Stay tuned. Subscribe to Storyroom by Rico. Detective Maria Alvarez knew they needed an insider to crack the Midnight Carnival, so she brought in Jake Monroe, a 42-year-old former carnival worker turned private investigator. Jake was a gruff man, covered in faded tattoos from his circus days, with a gravelly voice and a limp from a fall off a tightrope in 2015. He'd spent a decade with the carnival before leaving in 2018, haunted by what he'd seen. "I should have spoken up sooner," he told Daniel, his brown eyes heavy with guilt. Jake had lost a niece to a hit-and-run in 2010, and helping Daniel was his way of making amends. He revealed that Victor Kane ran a tight ship, but rumors of special recruits were rampant. "Kids would show up, no paperwork, no parents," Jake said, lighting a cigarette. "Victor would dye their hair, give 'em new names, teach 'em tricks, said they were orphans, but I never believed it." Jake had a lead. Sammy, a former clown who'd been with the carnival in 2023, now living in Tacoma. They drove to Sammy's rundown apartment, a dingy place with peeling wallpaper and the smell of stale beer. Sammy, a wiry 38-year-old with a shaved head and nervous hands, hesitated, but finally talked. In Portland, June 2023, he'd seen Victor talking to a man in a dark hoodie outside a dive bar, handing over a wad of cash. Later that night, a red-headed girl appeared in the performer's tent, scared and silent. Victor called her Ella, dyed her hair blonde, and trained her to juggle. "She cried for her dad every night," Sammy said, his voice breaking. Daniel showed him a photo of Emily. Sammy nodded, tears in his eyes. "That's her." Alvarez got a warrant to search the carnival, but first they followed a tip from Mia Torres, the journalist who'd been covering Emily's case. Mia had tracked the carnival's movements and found they'd been in Portland just days before their Seattle stop. Alvarez, Jake, and Daniel drove to Portland, hoping to catch Victor off guard. They arrived at a vacant lot, where the carnival had performed a week earlier, finding a discarded flyer with Ella's face. A local vendor remembered Victor arguing with a man in a hoodie, same description as the mall footage. They missed Victor. By hours, he'd packed up early, heading to Seattle. Back in Seattle, they arrived at the carnival's setup at dusk, the big top glowing under string lights, the air thick with popcorn and sawdust. They were so close, but would they find Emily in time? The search of the Midnight Carnival was a heart-pounding race against time, and it revealed a darkness that went far beyond Seattle. Alvarez's team descended on the carnival at the Seattle Center, flashlights cutting through the dusk as families watched from the sidelines, confused. Victor Kane, a hulking man with a shaved head and a sneer, tried to flee when he saw the police darting through the maze of trailers. Jake tackled him backstage, pinning him down as Alvarez cuffed him. "You're done, Kane," she growled. In a trailer marked "Performers Only," they found her. Emily, now 10, her red hair still dyed blonde, practicing juggling with a nervous smile. She froze when she saw Daniel, then ran to him, sobbing, "Daddy." Daniel held her tight, tears streaming down his face as he whispered, "I've got you, sweetheart." Emily told investigators she'd been taken from the mall by a man in a hoodie, sold to Victor for $5,000, and forced to perform as Ella the Magnificent. She'd been moved across state lines, Oregon, Idaho, Washington, living in fear, but clinging to memories of her dad. She remembered the smell of his aftershave, the way he'd sing her lullabies, and how he'd promised to take her to a real unicorn farm one day. Therapy later helped her process the trauma. She'd been locked in trailers, fed barely enough to survive, and threatened if she tried to run. Victor's arrest cracked the case wide open. 4 other kids were rescued that night, ages 7 to 12, linked to missing persons cases from Portland to Boise. The man in the hoodie was identified as Eddie Voss, a 40-year-old low-level trafficker with ties to a larger ring operating in 6 states. The FBI raided 3 more locations, rescuing 15 kids and arresting 8 suspects. Mia Torres published a follow-up article exposing the trafficking network's scope. Hundreds of kids, potentially taken over decades, funneled through traveling shows like the Midnight Carnival. Emily's reunion with Daniel was a fragile light. In the darkness, she struggled with nightmares, but therapy helped her reclaim her smile. Daniel quit his job to focus on her, moving them to a quiet suburb where they rebuilt their life, one unicorn drawing at a time. Sophie, Emily's best friend, visited often, the 2 girls giggling like no time had passed, but the scars remained. Emily flinched at loud noises, and Daniel woke up every night to check her room. What had kept them going all those years? Emily's story isn't just a miracle, it's a wake-up call. Daniel and Emily Harper are healing, step by step, their bond stronger than ever. They go to therapy together, rebuilding trust and laughter with every session. Daniel started working with Hope for the Missing, speaking at events to raise awareness about missing children, his voice steady as he shares Emily's story. Emily, now 11, is back in school, her red pigtails bouncing as she plays with Sophie, though she still keeps a unicorn Stuffy close. Their reunion exposed a dark truth. Thousands of kids go missing every year in the US, over 400,000, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Some, like Emily, are found in places we'd never suspect, hidden in plain sight at circuses, carnivals, or fairs. Daniel's journey from a broken father to a fierce advocate shows the power of love, but also a haunting reality. For every Emily who comes home, countless others are still out there, waiting for someone to notice them. What do you think? Could there be more kids like Emily in plain sight? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if this story moved you, and share it to spread awareness. Subscribe for more gripping mysteries and check out our playlist for stories similar to Keep the Chills Coming. Let's keep shining a light on the missing. Together, we can make a difference.